Thanks to you for tuning in. I'm live tonight from Atlanta. Tonight's lead, 1 week to go, just 7 days until Election Day. And all that talk of a Republican wave was just talk, because it is tight. Right now, Senate races in 10 states are closer than 5 points. This election is going to come down to turnout. So if you care about fairness, if you care about the Affordable Care Act or minimum wage or women's rights, then you have to get out and vote. A new poll found 73% of Republicans are absolutely certain to vote, but 61% of Democrats said the same. Here's what's at stake: fairness, radical Republican policies, and a Senate takeover. And the race right here in Georgia really illustrates that. In a debate this week, Democrat Michelle Nunn hammered Republican David Perdue for saying he was proud of his business record of outsourcing jobs.
In a deposition under oath, that you said that you spent the majority of your career outsourcing. Your record of shipping jobs overseas, outsourcing career that you have, you'd be the only one in the Senate that has said that they spent the majority of their career outsourcing jobs.
This issue has become front and center here in Georgia, where there is an unemployment rate of 7.9%. That's the highest in the nation. And none hit Perdue just as hard on a pay discrimination lawsuit Perdue's old company faced.
When he was head of Dollar General, there was over 2,000 women that were not paid equitably.
There was no wrongdoing there. That lawsuit or that claim or that complaint was settled 5 years after I was, and she knows that, and it was less than 2,000 people. We had upwards of 70,000 employees in that country.
You know, 2,000 women, that actually seems like quite a lot to me, who say that they were discriminated against. And federal investigators, it's public knowledge, found that that was true. And it was during your tenure. It was settled afterwards, but the suit was during your tenure.
Pay discrimination, outsourcing, just a few of the reasons this race is so tight. And that's why Georgians, like the rest of the country, need to get out and vote. Joining me now is Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed and Joan Walsh from Salon.com. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me, Reverend Al.
Mr. Mayor, a lot of people still think of Georgia as a completely red state. What does it say that the Senate race is so close? What are Georgians looking for?
It says that they want to look for somebody who cares about fairness. And what's resonating is this outsourcing pride that Mr. Perdue showed is absolutely hurting him. And Michelle Nunn has a lifetime of helping ordinary people, and it is coming across. And in every important poll that I've looked at, she has been up or even. So I think that the outsourcing comments and claims that Mr. Perdue made, his career at Dollar General, his career at Pillowtex, is causing people who would have traditionally voted for him to turn away. The other thing is that the black community in the state of Georgia is getting more and more excited about Michelle Nunn. And I think that Georgia is getting ready to flip and vote to support Michelle Nunn and put her in the United States Senate. We're 8 days out. 7 days.
Joan, this race is sounding like Romney, too. I mean, the races are close, but on some of the issues, Democrats are way ahead. Minimum wage is one of those issues.
Right.
And when you look at the fact Republicans have really struggled with these issues, I want to play Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Listen to this.
What is your position on the minimum wage? Should we have it?
Well, I'm not going to repeal it, but I don't think I don't think it serves a purpose, because we're debating then about what the lowest levels are at. I want people to make, like I said the other night, 2 or 3 times that.
Are comments like these going to hurt the Republicans, Joan?
Oh, I think they are. I think they already have. I mean, Scott Walker sounded really kind of stupid, to be frank, when he said that. And he tries to explain it by saying, yes, I want people to make more, but he really doesn't seem to understand labor history where, you know, where we place the floor really determines what people get even higher up the ladder. And when the floor is so low in so many places, he certified $7.50 as the living wage in Wisconsin. And people in that state working for minimum wage know it's really not a living wage if it's your only job, and God forbid if you're supporting a family. So, you know, he's been tin-eared. David Perdue has been awfully tin-eared. I mean, I have to say, Michelle Nunn has turned out to be a very good, solid candidate who is not afraid from hitting him. And, you know, sitting here listening to him say, 2,000 women, that's just not a lot of people. She handled that very deftly. And he does have that Mitt Romney silver spoon problem where he thinks all of this stuff is a real benefit to him as a politician, but the voters seem to think differently.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I want to go back to something you said about the black vote, because everyone talks about how Democratic voters don't turn out in midterm elections. But in Georgia, black voters made up 30% of the turnout in 2008. They made up 28% in 2010 and 30% in 2012. There wasn't a big drop-off percentage-wise here in Georgia. Do you think black voters will turn out this year?
I think that they're definitely going to turn out. What we have to do in Georgia is to get Michelle Nunn over 50+1. We need 50 more votes in every single precinct. And I will tell you, you're in Atlanta right now. You can feel the energy. It's resonating in the black community. Congressman John Lewis was out campaigning with Michelle Nunn yesterday. He was absolutely on fire. President Clinton will be in Atlanta on Friday. And you can just feel the energy building as we go into the home stretch. We've got to get her over 50+1 so we don't have to do this again.
You know, besides the Senate races, a lot of incumbent governors, Republican governors, are very close in the polls in their races this year. Scott Walker, who I mentioned, Rick Scott of Florida, Sam Brownback of Kansas, and Paul LePage of Maine. Does that say to you that the GOP policies in practice have turned out to be unpopular, Joan?
Well, I think all of those governors have overreached in one way or another ever now and thought they had a mandate for much more conservatism than they did. And so they've all got relatively good or even excellent contenders. You know, Mary Burke is another newcomer in Wisconsin who people weren't sure about at first, to be quite candid, who has turned out to be a very good campaigner and very positive, but dogged and not afraid to hit Governor Walker on his broken promises in terms of jobs. And so, you now have a situation where Scott Walker's apparently beefing with Chris Christie over not getting enough money from the Republican Governors Association. So when they start to, they assemble the circular firing squad a week before the election, you know that they have some things that they're worried about, too.
Mayor Reed, I must ask you before we run out of time. President Obama, you've been part of the new, I tease you all the time, young guard national leaders that have stayed also very close with the president.
Yes.
How's his popularity in your state, and how will it affect the outcome of this campaign?
Statewide, it's pretty tough, but he is more popular than ever among black people in Georgia. We make up 30% of the electorate, and everybody understands how important it is that Democrats keep control of the United States Senate. So that message is resonating. We understand that Michelle Nunn has to do what she has to do, but we know that it's in the president's interest to make sure that Democrats control the United States Senate, and we're going to vote that way.
All right, and I think, Joan, that we may see a lot of surprises if people come and turn out. And Mayor Kasim Reed and Joan Walsh, I thank you both for your time tonight. And I'm going to hang around Joan around politics until I see where Kasim goes. So that gives me a little time.
Okay, me too then.
Coming up, Dr. Christie's Ebola politics. New defiance from the governor over his decision to lock up a nurse returning from Africa. Plus Elizabeth Warren in 2016. Will she run? And how could it be a big opportunity for all Democrats? And why would Bill Maher be banned from speaking at UC Berkeley? It's all ahead Please stay with us.